Recorded.
Hello everyone and welcome. This is Ken Quigley from Keystroke, and today we're going to be doing a webinar on Link2list. We're very excited about this product. We've made some significant improvements and enhancements to it, so look forward to getting into it today. But before we start, I just want to go through a couple of quick housekeeping items. Please turn off your mics and webcams. People often join the webinar and don't realize the background noise. I've got to stop what I'm doing and mute them. Also, webcams, we do suppress it on our side, but I've seen some cases where it comes up and that interferes with the recording. I would ask that if you have any questions, ask via the chat. We've got a couple of people monitoring that, and I'll monitor for myself to see if I need to pause and check for questions. And as you just heard, this event will be recorded. Okay, let's get started. So let's start with why email verification is important. I mean, if you use email marketing to promote your business, you know the success of your e-marketing campaigns depend on the quality of the distribution list. It doesn't matter which ESP or email service provider you use, the old adage of garbage in, garbage out still applies. Unfortunately, all email distribution lists do suffer some decay over time. In fact, statistics show that the average distribution list suffers 25% decay. I got someone I need to mute. 25% decay annually due to things like failing businesses, employee turnover. Sorry, one more mute. Okay. Due to failing businesses, employee turnover, unsubscribes, people reporting them as spam, and even domain changes. In fact, last week, Google started their own internal purging of all inactive Gmail accounts that haven't been used for 2 years. So there's one more thing that's contributing to list decay. So what this means is a quarter of the emails sent to those lists will bounce. Over time, that decay will worsen and contribute to more bounces, which will hurt the sender reputation and cause more of their emails to be flagged as spam. As you might guess, the more spam and bounces an account gets, the more its overall deliverability rate plummets, leading to bad campaign results and possible blacklistings. If that weren't enough, email service providers like ACT and others take bounce rates very seriously. A sustained bounce rate of 5% or more could get your account suspended, with repeat offenders possibly having their account terminated. I've seen it with our own customers as we get copied on all suspension and termination notices. And in cases like that, there's often no refund. So this is financially can be quite impactful. Therefore, it is important for you to monitor your bounce rates and to take steps to reduce it. This is why we've developed Link2list. With Link2list, you can easily and effectively scrub your email list. Link2list is a feature of the Linktivity suite that works seamlessly inside of ACT to verify the deliverability of any email address in your ACT database and update each record with a deliverability rating. All you need to do is choose a group, click Start, and Link2list will verify them at a speed of around 1 to 3 per second. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so before we get into actually showing you how it works, I just want to run through a couple of resources for you. If this is linktivity.net, that's the main suite of online programs that Link2list is part of. If you want to learn more about Link2list, you can simply click on products, scroll down, and learn that way. Okay, that's the first thing. We've got blogs. It might be easier to just scroll down. You can click on top 5 reasons to scrub your email list, market your business for less. And we've actually got a recent blog about, I think, which probably driven a few people here today, is your email list ready for the holidays? Okay, we've got the user manuals up here, which cover all the different programs. Okay, and the last one before we actually do the login is the updates. Now, this is something that we've actually tweaked recently, where we have what we call the change log. And every single time a new feature is introduced, we record it here. As you could see, there was 2 today, and Link2list is one of them. And we'll be covering this. Added a download button to save the scan log messages to a text file, and added a search feature, which I'll be showing you shortly. But one of the things that if you wanted to focus in on one particular program, so let's say you wanted to only learn about Link2list, then you can select from the top and go down and see all the updates that are done to that. Okay, so let's go back here. Now, I should say that Link2list, because it is, or it can be one of those things that people just use and discard, there is no trial for it, but you obviously have to set up a Linktivity account, and that's what you go here. I know it says free trial, but set this up. It will send you along an email confirmation set up. And then once you get in, you can actually create your account. Okay, so I'm going to go into my account now, and it automatically publishes the 2 read mores. I can click here and get into all the information. But what I want to do first, because I know a lot of you guys are joining us for the first time, I just want to kind of show you quickly the API setup. We're not going to be getting into much beyond that, but here, just to kind of stress that the way that Link2list works, as well as all the Linktivity products, is through the Act Web API. So you need to be an Act Premium subscriber or an Act Premium Cloud subscriber. If you're an Act Premium Cloud subscriber, it is super easy. So you select API here, and then you just look for your region: Canadian, US, UK, Australia, New Zealand, Europe. Then you click on this, and this will automatically populate. I'll even show you how it works. If I wanted to go click, boom, and this automatically updates to this. And then what you can do is, especially with APC, sometimes it could be a little confusing as to how to get your database name. Well, we've put in here a description of a step-by-step process for getting the database name, where you can actually copy it to the clipboard and paste it in. And then, of course, there's the login and password, which we don't need to get into. Okay, so with that, let's get into Link2list. So over here, so this is Link2list. This is the dashboard view or the list view. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get into the settings first so that you can actually see the setup options. So the first thing that, and this is kind of big, because this is one of the reasons that we're promoting this so heavily, is that we've added a different type of email verification. When we first built this at Act's request, we built it with Bright Verify integration. Okay, and that's the way it's been for the last couple of years. But recently we built our own email verification system, and that is the default now. Okay, and I'm going to be covering that mostly, even though we've got this. So what's going to happen is you're going to, if you select this as the default, then you're going to click on here. You get 500 contact scans to start with. Okay, so right off the bat, you're getting 500. But if you want to purchase more, you can click here, and it will load the screen, and you can buy your scans. Now let's just quickly do review the options. You've got a block of 100 contact scans, 5,000 contact scans, and 25,000 contact scans. Now the way that it breaks down to is for the 1,000, okay, it's 0.7 of a cent. Okay, so it's like 70% of a cent per contact. At 5,000, it's half a cent. And at 25,000 scans, it is 0.4 of a cent. Okay, so here's how the math works. If you only have a small amount to scan, then you should get up to 3 of the 1,000 scans. The moment that you get the 4th, it makes more sense to go to 5,000. Same thing with the 5,000. The quantity discount kicks in after around 3, so 1 to 3. It makes sense. Let's say you've got 15,000 scans, best to get 3 of these. If you need 4, it actually is more economical to jump up to 25,000 with the quantity discount. Okay, now the only thing I'm going to mention here that's important to note is it says select workspace. When you go in and create an account, you've got a workspace and you've got your own individual user space. Okay, I see I've got my Kenna KQC and I've got Keystroke. Let's say I don't know which one I've got set up, I could actually go back to Link2list, and I can see up here that it says keystroke, so I know which one to apply it to. Okay, I'm gonna go back here. So now I'm gonna get this. I'm not gonna go through the purchase. As you can see, I've already got 103,000 here. Okay, the next thing is the ACT field. So this is an important thing to understand. Link2list does not wipe out any data in your database. What it does is it creates a field with a drop-down list, okay? And that drop-down list includes 4 different values: valid, invalid, accept all, there's actually an underscore between accept and all, and unknown, okay? Invalid and valid are fairly straightforward, don't need explaining. Accept all is a wild card, okay, where let's say it's anything at domain.com. And then unknown is either where, you know, we're pinging the mail server and it returns an error, or the email address just could not be validated, okay? Okay, so we got this. Now, one of the things I want to explain is if you do purchase this, okay, and let's say you purchase a fairly big block, Link2list is an annual subscription. So as long as you renew your subscription on time, any unused scans will carry forward into the next subscription. But like most things, if you let the subscription lapse, then any amount that you've got built up will expire with the account. So please make note, we'll have notifications, and when you log in, there will be on the home screen a notification about the status of your subscription. Now, the one other thing on this page I want to make note of here is I am purchasing this as inventory. So I know we've got a few resellers on the call. If you select this, there's 2 things about it. 1, you'll be able to assign the blocks to your customers, and 2, this will not, you know, tick down. This will, you know, basically unactivated subscriptions in inventory do not expire until they are activated. So this here is a good option for resellers, okay? So let's go back here. So we've got the email address field. So this is the only thing that's going to be updated in ACT. So the field that we create will be the only thing that changes. So you don't have to worry about it removing any email addresses, wiping out any data. It only updates one field, and it's the one that we create. So the 2 ways of working with this program, the built-in verification, which literally doesn't require you to do anything other than purchase contact scan blocks. And then the second is Bright Verify. Because it's a third-party tool, okay, then what you've got to do is you've got to go to Bright Verify. And I've got here, okay. You've got to then log in, okay. I can't do this. I'm just going to kind of show you here. Once you log in, it's going to show you, you log in here, you click on API keys, and you basically pay for a key, okay? That key is here, and then you copy that. Let me just remove this. Copy that, and then you click on Bright Verify, and you paste in your key. Now, the difference there is it is tracking your balance, okay? So we won't know how many you've gone through. It's tracking your balance, so just be mindful of that. The built-in one does everything internally, tracks your balance. We know it because we're keeping track of it, okay? So let's close that. Okay, now we're back to the list view. You can see here, so we've got new, we'll be getting into this in a second. Click on this. Here we just added this as I showed you the change log. Let's say that I needed to find a particular, I've got all kinds of scans here and I want to find them. I can now find it very quickly, okay? This shows me my balance, 103,000. When you click on it, you can actually see all the scans that you've done and what it's done to your balance, okay? And then the help, you've got contextualized help. What I mean by contextualized is it's showing you relevant help to whatever page you're accessing it from, okay? Across here, you can see this is run, edit the list, delete the list. Here's the list name, Okay, the list name is basically the scan that you've got. Okay, last run, scanned, the number valid, the number accept all, and the number skipped. So we've tried to give you a dashboard with as much information as possible, and you'll understand why when we get into it and you realize that this can actually be scheduled as well. Okay. Okay, now let's go to, we'll click on new. Okay, what I'm going to do is I've got a list of ACT resellers worldwide that we're going to use. So I'm actually going to say, Ken's ACC list. Okay, now I'm just giving this a name. It could be anything. It doesn't have anything to do with other than what's intuitive to you. Now then I can click on here and it will automatically read the groups in my database because it's connected to it via the API. And I'm going to type in ACCs and just do a quick search. And there's the group that I want, ACC Ken's group. It's a small group, 123 contacts. Now I've added that. Now there's two types of scan modes. Only process unverified contacts. What that means is, I told you about that field that it creates with the drop downs. What it's going to do is it's going to scan each record and it will only scan the records where there's no value whatsoever in that field. So it has no deliverability ranking whatsoever. Okay. The next one will be always process all contacts. Now there's two things to consider with this. One, obviously you're going to be charged for each contact that you scan, and sometimes you will be paying to scan a contact more than once. Well, that's kind of inevitable if we already know that there's going to be 25% list decay year after year. So at some point, at least once a year, you're going to be wanting to scan your contacts again just to verify their status. Okay, but in this case, we're going to go with unverified. I've actually cleared that field. Okay, now here's something that is really important. Verify automatically. By default, that means none. What it really means is a schedule. So you can actually set this to run daily, weekly, every Monday, or monthly, the first of every month. So why would you want to do that? Well, you can actually create a group, a dynamic group of new customers. So that, let's say, every customer that's added in the previous 30 days gets added into this group. And then you can have and say, but does not contain anything in the email status field. And then it creates a declining balance into that group. And every week or every day or every month, you can scan that group and verify the people that are added. So that way you are maintaining your list as you go, and no bad data, okay, is allowed to creep into your campaigns. Okay. Now, at this point, I can click on save. If I click on save and close, I'll be returned to the list, but I'm going to click on save and watch what happens. Now I've got a little run over here. Okay, so I'm going to click on run. Now it's automatically going to bring me up. It's going to show me what's my list name, what group it's going to read. This is now ready to process. Click start to begin. So this is one of those, you know, if you click on the wrong button, you don't want to be charged immediately. So it's the one last confirmation. So I'm going to click on here, and now it's going to start. Okay, it's identified that it found 123 records. It's processing, and it's showing on a contact by contact basis what the status is. Okay, and you can see that you've got a good mix of valids, accept alls, a couple of errors. Okay, now what can happen with the email verification system, if you're hitting the same email server a lot, okay, let's say if you're working with a big list and you've hit the same email server a fair bit, then it could impose a temporary block on you for like an hour or so, and then you'll want to scan them back again later as it lifts it. Okay, it's just standard security that it will impose. We don't run into it a whole lot, okay, but it does happen. And as you can see, this is going along at a decent clip. Okay, now while this is going, I want to mention some things. Any errors that you see, there's been a couple of errors, those don't count against your balance. Okay, if there is an error that aborts the scan, okay, you can run it again later, and you'll see this little reset thing. If you click on start, it will pick up where you left off. If you click on reset, then it will scrub the watermark for where that scan finished, and you'll just basically run it again. Okay, so that was 123. That lasted, didn't seem like even a minute. Okay, and let's take a look at the results. 123, 73 were valid. Okay, and then we've got 29 that accept all, 1 was skipped. Okay, so out of that, we've got about 112, or sorry, not 112, that's bad math, just over 100, okay, that are 102 out of 123. That is a pretty high deliverability rate. Now, obviously, this is a small group that I know pretty well, so, but I've got 102 out of 123 that I know that are safe to email, okay? Now, how does one service compare to the other? Well, in terms of Bright Verify versus our own email verification system, we've tested this with groups of hundreds, thousands, and what we have found is that between Bright Verify, because we're not comparing ourselves to Bright Verify, they've been around, they're actually the longest email verification service in the industry, but we have not had more than a 7% deviation. Okay, so 7% deviation. So what we found is with the valids, okay, the previously where it says 73 valid, Bright Verify verified 78, okay, with the exact same number of unknowns. And in terms of the accept alls, they had 31 and we had 29. So the results are very, very comparable, but the beauty of the keystroke email verification system is that it sets, as soon as you pay for your subscription, it's set up to go and you got 500 to go right off the bat. Obviously, we can't offer anything free with Bright Verify, and you've got to go through that extra step where this is the native integration, okay? So just thought I would bring that up because this is really important to understand that, you know, you can go with the Bright Verify if you want. Sorry, just got to mute someone. You can go with Bright Verify if you want. They're a fantastic service, but it's nice to have an option that is easier to set up, fast, and less expensive, and that's what we can now offer you. Okay. Now, I've just done this. So what does all this look like? Well, if I go over here and I go to ACC, and I see where's, why am I, oh, let me do, I can't find that list, but right now I'll just do a quick lookup. Okay, you can see, this isn't the exact list, but now you can see that there is a, you know, a email status on each one of them. Okay, so why is this important and how does this help us with marketing? Okay, well, there's 2 ways that we can do it. One, we could do it at the group level. Okay, and there's 2 group ways, and I want to show you how to do that. So the first one is, let's say we go to our marketing groups. Not sure why this thing is so long here. Oh, actually, let me just go here. Oh, before I forget, one of the other new features that we added is if people wanted to actually download this entire scan list, we created this new feature down here called download log, and it will actually create the log. And now you can actually reference that if you wanted to do a comparison of one scan type versus the other, this will give you a contact by contact result breakdown with the stats. Okay, so we actually just added that today or yesterday, so we're really excited about that. Click here. Okay, so now let's go back to Act. Now, how would I incorporate that? Well, I've got my email status field, okay, here. So I'm going to go into my groups. So this only works with dynamic groups, okay? But let's say that I wanted to click on here, add remove. What I can do is I can say email status, always put equal to. For no other reason, if you put in contains valid, it's going to grab the valid and the invalid one. So always put equal to, use the drop down, select valid, and then email again. Okay, you can put contains with the accept all. And then what you do, just do a little bracket, do an or. And now of this list that you've got up here, okay, however it's segmenting your database, it's going to filter it one level further by all the contacts in that group that have valid or accept all. So if you're marketing to this group here, you now know that your AMA campaigns are going to include valid or accept all contacts only. So they are going to be verified. Now that's one way of doing it. Another way of doing it is the reverse, okay? And let me show you what I've done. So I'm just gonna actually, I'll leave that there. I'm gonna go to Blacklist here, and I'll show you what I've done. I've created a group called Blacklist that says email status equal to invalid, email status equal to unknown, or email status blank. So these are people that I haven't scanned. So then what I'm gonna do is when I go into marketing automation, let's wait for it to load. I see I've got a question, so let me just check that. So someone's asking about list simulation. How does this compare to list simulation? List simulation basically shows you the deliverables and what is actually made up of your inclusions and your exclusions. It has nothing to do with whether or not an address is verified. Okay, now what it will do is it will show you anything that's filtered after the server-side suppressions. Now, if people have opted out, if people have, well, let's just start with opted out. If they've opted out, then that would be something that would be filtered out of your simulation list. But that doesn't have anything to do with email verification. Those are opt-outs, okay? What we're talking about is pre-delivery and making sure that we only deliver to people that with a valid to address. Just because you verified them as valid doesn't mean that they can't opt out. So that's why the two things really don't overlap. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you here. I'm gonna click on this. And now what I can do is I can go into exclusions and I can add my blacklist to each and every single campaign that I run. So instead of having to modify every single marketing group that I've got, all I've got to do to remember is every single time I'm creating a campaign, okay, I put in the exclusion of my blacklist group. So that way, no one will be included that doesn't have an email deliverability status, okay? Or if they do have a deliverability status, it isn't equal to invalid or unknown, okay? Okay, I think okay, so now let me just return. Okay, now there's a couple of things I want to really stress. Because if you use e-marketing or your AMA as a way of saying, let's go to market and then rely on my internet or my email service provider to, suppress the hard bounces, that's great, except those bounces are actually being counted against you on two levels. One, your email service provider is actually tracking that bounce rate, and if it's consistently above 5%, you can find your account, as I mentioned earlier, suspended and potentially terminated if you keep using it. Two, that is going to contribute to your overall sender reputation if you are sending out unscrubbed emails and relying on the email service provider to suppress future deliveries, because essentially what you're doing is you're spamming unverified lists and contributing to a worse sender reputation, okay? To say nothing of the fact that you only need to hit one spam trap to suddenly find yourself blacklisted. So using your email service provider as a way of verifying the validity of your list isn't very good, okay? So let's talk about some of the commercial details of this program. So what does a subscription cost? A subscription costs $10 a month, okay, billed annually at $120. Okay, now it is not a user-based service. So if you've got a team of 20, you only need one, because you're not going to need more than one person to scan the list that everyone is working with. Okay. The scans, whether you use Bright Verify or you use the native email verifications, will be billed separately. Obviously, you purchase those separately, and I showed you the different rates with our native integration. This is the only Linktivity product that has no trial. Okay, for the obvious reason, as I said at the beginning, people can set it up, scan their whole list, okay, and then say, thanks, bye, and then they're done. Okay, and obviously we need to be careful with that. But they do get 500 contact scans with each new and renewing account. So if you've had this for a year and you renew your account on time, then you will have 500 added to your balance. Okay, and that's it. So using Link2list to build and maintain a clean and actionable database. Reach and engage more people by optimizing your deliverability, and then communicate more effectively and focus your sales, marketing, and customer service efforts on real opportunities, as opposed to a bunch of fake results and things that clutter up your actual stats. Okay, so I don't see any questions, but I've tried to keep this within 30 minutes. I hope that you guys found this useful. I love how easy this program is to use. Anytime that we're coming up with a new campaign and I develop a group, I always scan it just to make sure that there isn't any new contacts that have slipped in. But the blacklist tool that I showed you, where you create a group that anyone that has a bad deliverability rating or no deliverability rating, you just add those in as an exclusion every time, and then you're covered, and you don't have to modify each and every single marketing group. Okay, I'll just check. No more questions. Okay, perfect. Thank you very much, everyone. I hope this was of value. I will record this. And okay, someone just can I scan the entire DB as a group? Absolutely. What you can do is, there isn't a ability to scan it outside of groups, but you can create a group that basically says, create a new group and say all contacts without the # in their name, their contact name, which of course would be everyone. And then that would populate that group with every single person in your database, and then you just scan that group. Okay, I think we are good. If you have any questions after this, please email me, ken@keystroke.ca, and I'll get back to you as quickly as I can. But otherwise, we will rip this recording and distribute it out to everyone that attended. And I thank you for your time. Have a great afternoon.